I matched with her on Tinder on a weekday afternoon. Nothing about the profile stood out in a way that felt strange. Normal photos, normal bio, nothing overly polished, nothing that felt fake. We exchanged a few messages that night. Casual, light, the kind of conversation that doesn't raise any red flags because there's nothing there to notice yet. She suggested meeting in person fairly quickly. I remember thinking it was refreshing. Too many conversations drag on forever without going anywhere. We picked a cafe downtown, public, busy, easy to leave if things felt awkward. The day of the date felt normal. I didn't feel nervous. I didn't feel excited either. Just neutral. That's part of why it caught me off guard later. There was no sense of anticipation that could explain what came next. She was already there when I arrived. I recognized her immediately from the photos. Same face, same smile. She stood up when she saw me and hugged me without asking. It wasn't inappropriate, just a little unexpected. Her grip lingered half a second longer than I was used to from someone I hadn't met before. We sat down, ordered coffee. Small talk flowed easily at first. Work, hobbies, the usual surface level things. She laughed at the right moments, asked questions, maintained eye contact in a way that felt attentive, but gradually started to feel fixed. I noticed it when I looked away and felt her eyes stay on me. I brushed it off. Some people are just like that. About 20 minutes in, she started referencing things I didn't remember telling her. Small details. My neighborhood. The fact that I'd moved recently. The way I took my coffee. None of it was alarming on its own, but I found myself pausing internally, trying to remember when those things had come up. I assumed I'd mentioned them in passing. The conversation shifted when she asked why my last relationship ended. It wasn't a strange question, just earlier than I expected. I gave a vague answer, different priorities, no drama. She nodded, like she already knew that was what I'd say. She said, "That makes sense. You don't like feeling trapped." The word landed heavier than it should have. I asked what she meant. She smiled and said it was just a guess, that she was good at reading people. I laughed it off, but I felt that first tightening in my chest, the kind you ignore because it feels silly to question it. After we finished our drinks, she suggested a walk. The weather was decent, and the area was crowded enough that I didn't see a reason to say no. We stepped outside, and that's when I noticed how close she walked. Not brushing against me, just close enough that I was aware of her presence constantly. If I slowed, she slowed. If I adjusted my pace, she matched it without effort. She talked more now. Less small talk, more observations. She commented on people we passed, on the buildings, on which streets felt too exposed, and which ones were better. I asked what she meant by that. She said she didn't like places where people could watch for too long. My stomach tightened again, sharper this time. I told myself she was joking, or being dramatic, or just thinking out loud. Still, I found myself scanning the street, suddenly aware of exits, intersections, how far we were from the cafe. At one point, she stopped walking. I took another step before realizing she wasn't beside me anymore. I turned, expecting her to be tying her shoe or checking her phone. She was just standing there, looking at me. She said my name. The way she said it made my heart jump. I asked if everything was okay. She smiled again and said yes, she'd just been thinking. Then she resumed walking, like nothing had happened. I didn't suggest ending the date, but the thought crossed my mind for the first time. I didn't act on it because nothing concrete had happened. Just discomfort, just vibes. The kind of thing you feel embarrassed admitting later because it sounds like nothing. We reached a quieter street, and she asked if I wanted to grab another drink somewhere nearby. I said I was probably heading home soon. She didn't argue. She didn't push. She said, "That's fine. I figured you'd want to." That sentence stuck with me. I asked what she meant. She shrugged and said she could tell I was already thinking about leaving, that my body language had changed, that I'd been scanning around instead of focusing on her. She wasn't wrong. I felt exposed in a way I couldn't explain, like my internal state was visible to her in a way it shouldn't have been. When we stopped at a crosswalk, she stood very still beside me. Her reflection in the glass of a nearby storefront caught my attention. She wasn't watching the street. She was watching me. Directly. The light changed and we crossed. Halfway through, she said quietly, "You don't trust your instincts enough." I stopped walking. She kept going for 2 steps before stopping herself. Turned around slowly. Looked almost disappointed. I asked her what she meant. She sighed and said she didn't mean anything by it. Just an observation. She said she liked how cautious I was, though, that it made things more interesting. That was the moment my stomach dropped fully. I told her I was heading home and that I appreciated the coffee. I expected resistance, questions, something. Instead, she smiled again and said she'd already assumed that was how it would end. She didn't ask for a hug this time. She didn't try to follow me. She just stood there and watched as I walked away. I didn't look back until I reached the corner. She was still there, still watching. I walked faster, not running, just enough to put distance between us. When I reached the busier street, I finally let myself breathe normally again. That should have been the end of it. That night, I checked my phone before bed and saw a new message from her, sent less than 10 minutes after we'd parted ways. She wrote, "You got home safe." I hadn't told her where I lived. I replied with a neutral message, something vague, trying not to escalate anything. She didn't respond right away. I told myself she'd just guessed. People do that. It didn't have to mean anything, but I slept poorly. Over the next few days, I noticed small things. A profile view notification from Tinder that disappeared quickly. A follow request on a private social account I hadn't linked anywhere. A message that referenced something I'd done earlier that day, casually, like it was common knowledge. None of it was overt. None of it crossed a line that would have justified panic. That's what made it worse. I unmatched her, blocked the number, changed privacy settings, took a different route to work for a while, without consciously deciding to. Nothing else happened. No confrontation, no dramatic ending, no proof that anything truly dangerous was ever going to occur. But the feeling didn't go away. What stayed with me was how controlled everything felt, how little she needed to say or do to make me aware of her attention, how quickly she noticed shifts in my behavior, how calmly she reacted to my discomfort. I've been on plenty of bad dates since then. Awkward ones, boring ones, even tense ones. None of them felt like that. That one didn't feel like rejection or mismatch. It felt like I'd stepped into someone else's plan without realizing it. and leaving early was the only decision I made entirely on instinct. I trust that instinct now. Thanks for watching No Sleep Tonight, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It truly helps this channel grow. And if you want more unsettling stories, there are 2 more waiting for you on the screen right now. I'll see you in the next video. And until then, sleep well.